Hello, everyone. My name
Hey,
is Zelnis. I'm not joined just yet with my co-commentator, FC Racers, but he should be here shortly. Um, we are going to be doing a any percent lead run. This is TGH and Site. Will be here.
what's going on, everybody? It's your racers here.
Sound a little choppy. I'm not sure if that's just on my end. Neither runner. Test in 1, 2, 3.
It's 1, 2, 3.
Is my Hello, everyone. Sorry for the technical issues. I hope that you guys can all hear me.
I hope you guys can hear me as well. Check 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, I want to actually thank the Speedrun team, GSA, and everyone here for letting me attempt or letting me do commentary here. This is my first one here, so it's nice to meet you all.
Hello? Are we good here?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Sorry about that, folks. Having a little bit of problem with my software here. Also, Zelnis, welcome to your debut for commentary. I feel like we're going to have a great show today.
Okay. And so yeah, if I'm sure that most of you guys do know TGH. Sykes is also a top runner. Did fantastic in the in past Celeste tournaments, and we are off. So the intro stage is as usual, very basic. Just teaches you the basics of jumping, climbing, and later dashing. It is a little bit faster to hop. Like I think each hop saves just a few frames, but it is worth it.
And we also have the ability to skip the cutscenes, as you can see here. That was recently patched in after someone found a way to skip it with a frame perfect trick. So the developers decided to just go ahead and make it so that everybody can skip that opening cutscene, and there's been a lot of PBs because of it.
Yeah, it's nice. The developers are directly tied in with the um, community and with the speedrun. They've speedrun it as well. This game was designed to be speedran. I mean, it's got an in-game clock that is accurate to the third millisecond. It's very, very rare. But as you can see now, we will be utilizing much more complicated techniques than just jumping, climbing, and dashing that you may have used if you played this casually. And unfortunately, a death already from TGH and that screen. So he's about a screen behind right now. This game, though, any death will set you back a screen, and you can lose quite a bit of time. Obviously, the definition of a screen is different depending on where we are in the game.
Yeah, there definitely are a few screens where a death is really detrimental. For some of these shorter screens, it's not too bad. And then just with optimal movement, it is possible to catch up. And we see TGH actually catching up here right on the heels of Psyched, to the point where they're about to finish about a half second apart.
Yeah, this, as usual, where that's just how Celeste is. I mean, perfect movement is much more important than anything else. I mean, this game has literally zero RNG. This isn't like as good as some other games are for speedrun, and this game is probably the perfect speedrun.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The lack of RNG definitely really just makes it so it's boiled down to skill from both players. And we've seen some great movement here as we head into Old Site. Now, for the most part, with the races, especially with the caliber of the runners that we have here, these first two chapters, we're not going to really see too much of any mishaps or anything. It's when we get into chapter 3 and forward is where a lot of the races have really been like breaking out, and we're seeing leads taken. So
yeah, chapter 3 has the first instance of a kind of all of extremely unintended situations, which we'll explain when we get there, and if the runners decide to go with that trick. For the most part, though, everything that you see on screen is intended by the developers, and little optimizations even are intended. So you're gonna see that here. This is also not sure if we'll see B routes, B-side routes. I assume we will because they're faster now, but
I believe so. I think every runner that is in the league has transitioned over to using the 5B route. So far, for all the races this week, every runner has kind of gone for that, and it's made a big difference, particularly with the trick there. It's made or break a few runs, most notably against Malay and Scrub Lord. There was a few mishaps on the Bubs drop, which again, we'll get to that when we get to that chapter. But T just making his way into Awake.
yeah, Awake is... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Sure, I was gonna say Awake is probably the most technically difficult section of the entire run. Ask any percent runner. This is an area that you can lose actually quite a bit of time in. So Celeste works in a way that momentum carries constantly. If you do frame perfect movements in that stream, you don't lose speed, you only gain it. You can't die on that section, but in those screens you can only just keep going faster. If you hit anything wrong, you will slow down. If you hit a wall, if you hit a sprint, but the task for that room is probably one of the most impressive screens in the entire game, other than the Theo section in chapter 5. Or sorry, chapter 5. Yeah.
Chapter 5. Alright, so now we're making their way through Celeste Resort. TJ's getting a little excited there, slamming into a wall unexpectedly, but he's okay. So chapter 3 is where the game really kind of opens up. This level is significantly longer than the first two. It's going to introduce cycles with these dust bunnies here. And as you can see, the rooms are getting a lot longer. There's a lot more hazards to deal with. And for the casual player, this is probably where like the first quote-unquote roadblock is going to come in. They're probably like, oh, I got the first chapters, I'm feeling pretty good, and then they come to this and then kind of stalls them out a little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, like it doesn't feel like those dust bunnies are consistent. Like, you can really get frustrated at these dust bunnies, but they are on a cycle. They will move the same way every time based on when you enter the screen, except for when you die. When you die, they are on a different cycle. So runners do actually have to learn these rooms twice. Pretty much every room at this point is like got a perfect death and no death. Some rooms are faster to just leave the screen and reset the cycle, but you can't do that on every screen.
All right, T's just got through the labyrinth point of huge mess, and that looked near flawless. That was excellent work from him there. And we're going to come up to a spike jump here on Teej's screen, and he gets it first try. So a quick note about spike jumps. The game is designed where as long as Madeline is moving away from spikes, she will not interact with the hazard. So it's possible for some situations, like you saw there on Psych's screen, where you can jump off, just do a nice little wall kick, just kiss the spikes just ever so lightly, and get a nice little boost there. And it saves a lot of time. And we're going to see that in Chapter 4 as well, and also in Summit. Now, there are a few other spike jumps that some runners kind of go for. We saw that Chai Kitty did some in 5B that were very impressive. So we'll see if these runners have any surprises for us on that account.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a lot of steps employed throughout this run using that. But again, all of these were mostly intended, and
that was a nice corner boost there from Teach. Okay, I see you. And you see Psych actually going for the intended route there. That optimization saved, I would look like it saved a good second, if not a little more.
Yeah, and honestly, another reason to thank the developers is these areas with water in them were supposed to have more water originally. Which thankfully is not. There's actually supposed to be a water chapter in this game, but they decided that, no, we want to make a fun game.
Yeah, thank you, Matt and company, for not really diving too much in the water mechanics, because I don't know if we would have as much fun with those water levels. All right, so Teach is getting set up here for the demo dash skip. We're going to see how he's going to set this up. Oh, taking a death.
There it is.
Lining up, gets it
Okay.
on a second try. Nicely done. Psych is also getting ready for that too.
Yeah, if you've never seen this before, essentially it's just...
Oh, hold on. Wait,
wow,
sorry.
very good.
No checkpoint
very
either?
good.
Was that no checkpoint?
Yeah, that was.
Let's go,
He
Psych.
went
All
for
right,
it.
no, awesome. Yeah, so you saw that Teach went down the screen and came back, and what that did is triggers the checkpoint in case you missed the demo dash. Psych did not. It saves about 2 seconds, so I think Psych might have went in preparing like, I have to, just take the brakes off and just go full throttle through this section. And now, speaking of sections, we are in the Oshiro fight, as we like to call it.
Yeah. This game kind of has some boss fights. The first one is Battle Line, Clones, and then Oshiro. This game doesn't have boss fights in like a more traditional platformer sense where you gotta jump on their head or get them to hit some obstacle. It's just kind of an evasion.
So Teach had a little bit of hang up early on in that last screen, but was able to adapt very fine. We'll see how Psych handles this last room. Now, this last room, is notorious for causing all kinds of mishaps. Psych, oh no!
Yep.
I think he tried to maybe wall kick off of that, but he's going to take a death. And now the cycles do come into play. Ashiro's on a different cycle, and the Death Bunnies as well. So you have to be on your toes for the most part. But it looks like he's going to get out.
This is a very long screen, so
Yes.
death there is crazy. But now we are on. This is the other level that can really roadblock people. I see quite a lot of complaints about this level casually, but this is actually one of the more interesting speedrun levels. It's got a lot of auto scrollers, but we don't really do any of them. And then we maybe do one of them.
At least not to full completion.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Golden Ridge, I'm under the personal opinion that Golden Ridge is arguably one of the most technical chapters in the game, minus Summit. That's mainly due because every room literally has some sort of tech where you can just save a lot of time. Like we're seeing T just skip those auto scroll blocks here. He's going to get set up for an ultra dash here. Like every room has an opportunity to save time, but also, okay, I thought he was going to, that looked a little scary. But all those rooms too, there's just an huge opportunity for time loss. And it's very tough. Like for the top runners, they're clocking in usually at a mid to high 2 minutes, depending.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the longer chapters, like other than the Summit. Also, like this winds get harsher as you go through until you get to a point where you actually like move very slowly, pixel a second almost. But yeah, the reason why this chapter became so notoriously hard from a speedrunner perspective is actually that, as I mentioned earlier, momentum is a very key part of the movement in Celeste, and if something you're on or something is pushing against you, you will take its movement momentum and like kind of transfer it into Madeline's movement. So we'll see that in quite a few places. It's used a little bit more in other chapters, but here's kind of the first one, and that's a nice little step there to save a little bit of time, getting ahead of that block. Kind of intended strategy is to just hold onto the back and then go around it. But you're seeing here, this is a harsh wind section. Madeline just can't walk here, so you have to dash. And
We got a nice ultra there.
It's to note that when you're in the wind, the dashes are not affected by the wind. So that's another reason why like the movement on this section may look about as fast as, you know, a casual, like the actual physical, each movement will be about as fast as a casual player, but obviously we move that a little further.
Yeah, definitely. Teach handled that cliff face very nicely. Psych is getting through the second snowball room here, getting that ultra set up, getting through these green bubbles here, and he's gonna go for that. Oh, I think he's trying to go for that reverse ultra. Messed up the first one, but he's there. He's in there. All right, and so they're going to be finishing up. Now we're hitting to the key section of the race. No pun intended, folks. We are in Mirror Temple. So this is where the game gets a little interesting. For a little background story for you guys, it is by design where as long as you finish a chapter, you can advance to the next one. So you can either do the A side or you can grab the cassette and complete the B side. Now, it just so happens that 5B is a lot faster than 5A with the tape grab. So runners are going to be hurrying their way to this cassette tape here. Oh, no yeet from Tej, unfortunately. It's okay, he's got backups. And then they're going to head into 5B, and that's where the bubs drop is going to come into play. So, oh, nice reverse hyper from Psych there, looking extra crisp.
Yeah, I think it should be noted that for people who maybe aren't familiar with the lead, but are very familiar with Celeste, this is current patch. Doesn't say anywhere, but this is the current patch. So when we do get to 5B, we will not be doing any crazy shenanigans.
No menu storage, nothing like that. It's going to be all honest gameplay here. All right, Teach is out. I did not catch that tape time, unfortunately, but it looked pretty solid.
Yeah, the nice thing is that we get to hear 5B's music, which is sweet. So B-sides are essentially slightly harder levels. Celeste is actually fairly fair on how it progresses its difficulty. It goes from like levels that are probably on par with maybe, you know, a pretty tame platformer. That goes into kind of like Nintendo hard in these B-sides, like old Nintendo platformer hard. And then there's C-sides, and those are... Oh, yes. You want to explain that one? That trick there?
Yeah, so Tej got the bub drop there. First try, nicely done. So let me run down on this real quick. So you're going to have this opportunity where you're supposed to land on that platform and progress through the level as intended. It was discovered that if you actually climb up the side and do a short hop, like right after the transition, Madeline will not get that full jump, and it's a very tight window. I believe it's 2 frames that we have to get that, and it basically skips like a good chunk. Like as you see right there, Sight got it first try, nice too, even with a little swag with the wall bounce heading up. But yeah, this saves like a ridiculous amount of time. I think the intended time, if you were to go through everything, is like maybe a low 4 minutes, but with this bubs drop, you're gonna see these runners clocking in at like sub 230 if they're on like a really good pace. And so again, comparing to 5A, I believe the IL world record for 5A is like a mid 4 minutes. So we're saving a ridiculous amount of time here, folks.
Yeah, but it is at the expense of it making this run a lot harder than it was.
Yes.
So this definitely caused a lot of issues in that sense, in that this run is now kind of on a completely different level. But good for us, because the harder this game gets, the cooler it looks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, this is the Theo section. B-side actually does have the Theo section intact. It is obviously much harder. There's a lot more of these Seekers. We missed the lore on Seekers. We unfortunately missed the cool little stream where we get to play as a Seeker for 10 seconds, but it is one of the reasons the level's longer. So if Theo dies though, you die too. So
yeah, Teach is burning through this stage right now. Oh, he got getting a little excited there, jumping ahead of himself, having to take the backup strat here. He's gonna come in at like a 231. Nice.
Yeah, very good. And we're moving on to chapter 6.
And now Psyched also getting through his Theo portion here. One thing that I forgot to mention in regards to Bub's drop, the reason why the trick is so crucial is that if you miss that jump and land on that platform, you're actually people will restart the chapter from that checkpoint, and it adds up to about a 10-second loss. So we've had races where some people just are in a bind and they can't get it, and an easy 30 to 40 seconds can be lost from that. All right, so Psych getting through the quote-unquote impossible room here, getting that ultra strat. No, he does not. Oh my gosh, this room is so tough because of the cycles with the auto blocks there. So able to recover nicely. He's out. I unfortunately did not catch the time there, but both runners are now in reflection.
And this introduces Kevin Blotz, as they've named, based on the audio developer from Power Up Audio who made the sounds for them. If you ever want to laugh, go look up that video. It's very pure.
Yep. Shout outs to Kevin.
Yeah. And these blots are kind of where it really shows momentum. Like, you can just see the jump distance that TGH got off of that block. These blots move very quickly, and they accelerate for a very long time. Like, they get very fast if they're left unchecked. So the moment they hit something, though, they just dead stop. And if you can time your jump properly, you can kind of take that momentum and just shoot yourself into the sun. And we will see that later on, and a few times to a lesser extent. But there's going to be a part very specifically soon. This also introduces the battle line fight, which is probably most people's favorite section of the game, casually and speedrun wise. It's a very smooth section that we'll see shortly.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool tricks in the battle and fight. There's gonna be a lot of ultra setups. Teach has a very nice one about halfway through the first round of the battle and fight. And we didn't really touch on it. We'll definitely talk more about it on race number 2. But both runners getting lake skip. We'll try to do our best to kind of cover the ins and outs of that when we get to that in race number 2, because it went by so fast. But right now, both runners are in hollows. Teach is about to get out. Oh, okay. Oh, we got new strats. Let's go. I've never seen that before.
Here we go. This is the section that most people are waiting for. Get your heyas.
Yeah, we got our ravine section here. So we got 3 developer intended shortcuts. We got one there, one here, and the second one's not as easy. You got to kind of like wiggle your way through there. Teach makes it look super easy. Runners actually do some of them opt for a checkpoint that is available there, because it is a high risk reward situation in that part where if you do take a death, you get put all the way back at the top. And now, moment of truth is the battle and boost on Teach's screen. This is going to get lined up here. And here comes that movement that we were talking about.
Yeah. And just shoot yourself through the screens. Again, you just continue taking momentum through this game. Now, the key thing for these battle line fights is you're going to notice that they're going to charge into the ground essentially as quickly as possible. There are very little ways to gain speed in the air, so the first thing you want to do is get back onto the ground in Celeste, because that's where you get the majority of your speed.
Oh yeah. And then the objective here, of course, is to just bash into battle and over again. But we've got spikes, lasers, and these orbs that are going to come out. Ideally, for the most part, this fight I feel is very optimized. A lot of the route is pretty solidified. There's a few minor alterations that runners have, but for the most part, the big thing that you want to do is you just want to be very clean and just make sure that you get your ultras just like that. Oh, I love that strat from Teach's screen. We're gonna see if Psych is gonna go for that too.
Going underneath battle line and hitting her from the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, some nice really ultras there. And then again, we got long screens too. So this is probably another hang up for the casual playthrough, and even for runners that are just starting out. If I were to give any advice to people that were considering to run the game, this is a chapter. Ooh, close call there from Teach. Getting corner bopped, losing his momentum there. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Learn this fight. This is probably one of the fights. This is one of the sections that you're going to want to optimize. Oh, TGH missing his ultra opportunity there. I have to try this one over. Oh, again. Oh, okay. Giving Psych a little bit of time to catch up here. And again, this is one of those screens where it's just like, you know, it's a very long section. You got to hit battle in a few times. Oh, nice. Psych getting that strat too. Let's go.
Moving along here, we believe should be into the close to the end. These screens get progressively longer too. Like this fight, a lot of the problem with this fight is that it does actually take a you lose a lot of time, as you can see here. Like it feels like we're back multiple screens. TGH is actually falling a little bit behind here. FC's still on part 1.
Yeah, he's getting ready to do part 2 right now. But yeah, this screen is brutal there. You want to hit that bumper square on the right hand side. But Teach got a little too early on that. And then this screen too.
Yeah, managing this laser is very difficult.
And then even there too, yeah, nice. Teach is out, getting ready to level up here.
One little thing there is that that screen is notorious for causing people to reset. Just that last screen there, the trigger is in a little bit of a weird spot. It's pretty deep into the screen. You'll see people accidentally reset checkpoint. I've seen the odd person accidentally chapter complete or leave the chapter, but just a little note of funny outcomes that can happen. We didn't see it here yet. Hopefully, we won't see it today.
Yeah, we've been doing really good with no commentator curses so far. Alright, so now Teach is getting ready to ascend the mountain once again, leaving Reflection behind. So, stat-wise, the fastest time I believe so far in the league is a 29:23 from Flederby. I believe it's possible for Teach to beat that time. It's going to be very close though, so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like this community's gotten insane. Like little community history. There's actually a small moment where, you know, in the last Celeste tournament, where like people got to the point where they were almost like there was no point in playing because TGH is so far ahead of everyone. But now TGH doesn't even have a record, I don't think. Yeah. Maybe one 23 or whatever that meme category is, the super 100% category. I don't remember who has that world record. Yeah.
I believe the 114 is Lenny Gold, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think TGH has a record right now, so there were a lot of people, but most of the really good runners were all just more motivated by the TGH's early dominance in this game. And yeah, you know, we've got 16 racers here that can all lose to each other. So do not count anyone out. Even though here Site is behind a section in this area. By the way, if you don't know this area, again, gotta make sure we explain at least once. This area is essentially an accumulation of the other areas. We'll be going through screens using the mechanics from the other areas, you know, to an advanced degree. This is where the game really pits up and really is cool. On top of that, you have 2 dashes through this entire section, so it makes for some really cool puzzles and screens.
Yeah, especially the one that teaches on right now. 1000 is arguably probably the funnest section in Summit because you get the second dash, and then there's a known mechanic where you can hyper out of Dream Blocks, as TGH is doing there, and it just makes for an overall like fantastic experience. Like you're just really just zooming through and going crazy. And then we go from the funnest section to considered the hardest section, 1500. Again, our Dust Bunnies are back. Cycles come back into play again. We've got 2 notorious long rooms. Here's the first one. He's going to ultra through here and skip a cycle. Nicely done. And then we're going to get a short screen and then the infamous triple ultra room. Let's see how Teach handles this. We got 1, 2, and 3. Bam. Oh, poetry in motion, folks. That section looks so good when it's done correctly. But it's also very dangerous too, because if you mess up, you are put on a death cycle. A lot of runners actually opt to backtrack and get back into, like, re-enter the room to get the same cycle. There are a few death cycle strats. I have one on backup just in case. So, oh, Psych almost missing a dash input there, maybe? I'm not too sure. But yeah, Teach make very easy work of 1500. He's already on 2000. We'll see how Psych does with his... Oh, already off to kind of a rough start in this room here, especially with the cycle change. You don't have that option to re-enter, so you have to be on your toes. Psych handling it well as he moves forward. Teach getting to the auto scroller here. We're going to see a nice auto scroller escape here, folks. Watch this. We're going to extend it hyper off of that and just clear that as it's easy peasy.
Corner spike boost.
Oh yeah, I had such a hard time getting that trick. I was so scared of doing it because obviously if you mess it up, you can recover and try it again, but you know, you can lose a lot of time there. So we got Wind coming back into play here. And Psych just about out of 1500. It's got one more screen to go. Nice. Wow, Teach actually... I didn't know you can actually dash diagonal forward up there. I always was under the impression that you had to do a wall bounce to get to the auto scroller block, but proved me wrong there, optimizing that room even further as he heads into 2500. And Psych, pretty much Psych is, you know, he's gaining time here. Like, he's getting further into the rooms as Teach is exiting out. So we'll see how 3000 handles, because that is definitely like the grand finale of the game. And there can be a lot of mishaps. So Psych has the opportunity to catch up. He's going to need Teach to falter in some sections, and he's just going to play very clean. But we'll see how this pans out here.
And we get to key skip there. Skip one of the 2 keys, and then get to the screens, and the movement here is so good. There's so little floor in these last sections. It's not like B-sides though. There is some floor.
Oh yeah.
But here we go. Yeah, double date step. Lost a few set. No, I'm just kidding. Those are kind of like one of the first kind of tricks and like little kind of skips that were discovered. So they're kind of a community fun joke that people. They save like a minute, but when in reality they don't actually save much time at all, like maybe a second. Versus just hit in the block, but when you get it down, it's just a free second, and in a 30-minute game, you are saving seconds. Also, TGH having a little bit of issue with the mountain climb.
Alright, recovering nicely. And then also to go back on about the world record progression of the game so far. It is true that Teach was, you know, the guy. He was the #1 player for a long time. But at the same time, I mean, let's be real here. Being at the top can be a little lonely. So I think that Teach is actually very excited to see a lot of runners just like really stepping up their game and just optimizing their routes, giving him further motivation. And I think overall, he and a lot of people are excited to see like the future like ping pong battles that could be coming out. Like, it's so hype, and you know, especially like with Flitterby, he's a stellar runner.
It's weird. All of these crazy records came out. Like all of this tight competition started happening, you know, right after this tournament was announced. There can't be a coincidence there at all. You know, heavy competition, that doesn't push people to break their boundaries over and over again. Not at all.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just crazy that, you know, but no, it's very exciting, and you know, and it overall, it's just gonna put on a fantastic experience for everybody here that's watching and tuning in. I mean, in the speed gaming tournament between Flderby and TGH. Like, that was a stellar set. Oh my gosh. I was on the heels for the most part. Like, unfortunately I was commentating that one too, but then I actually had to leave due to prior engagements. But please believe that I was on my phone watching the outcome of that race, and it was nuts. So I'm excited to see a lot more stuff like that, especially we're gonna have some runbacks too. I mean, we got Nero in the league too. I am very excited to see Nero versus TGH because that race was absolutely bonkers. And then a few other, runbacks too. Like, I'm excited to see Black Pear and M Sushi go at it again. And we've got actually Black Pear and Nero as well. So, but, I mean, everybody's really pushing, and we're gonna see. I feel like we're gonna see definitely some more sub 30s before this league is out. Possibly one or two sub 29s, maybe a sub 28, maybe. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but it's crazy. Like, this game is, I feel like this game is gonna be a game that, just like Super Meat Boy was, although that game's kind of feels solved at this point, but that might just be due to a smaller community now. But that is TGH, and that is the end for TGH. TGH taking game one, taking a point.
Clocking in at 29:04, and again, folks, that is the fastest time in the league right now, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check my sources, but I'm feeling very confident that he is now the pole position for the times, because I like those little stats. And 12 deaths there, 2 strawberries in case people are counting. But Sight coming in the home stretch here, it's gonna be close, but he's gonna get a low 30 here. It's very close. He's gonna have to play very crisp to make this one work. We see a nice wall bounce here. And then this last section, especially in a race setting, it is very nerve-wracking. Speaking of which, all right, I guess my commentary curse is now on. But I've seen many races like be determined from this section, from a death from another runner, or just mishaps left and right, myself included. I have lost races on flag 4 and flag 3, and it sucks. But that's a mental fortitude, and these runners, oh no, do have that here. All right, so, oh no, Psych is having a little bit of hang up here on his movement on flag 1. I think he's trying to hyper as soon as he touched down on there, and was just not jumping in time to get out of the spikes. But still, he's going to clock in at a 30:13. Again, it's a very commendable time. I might have to double check to see what his PB is prior to. Right, so that is going to take care of the first race here. We're going to see if we're going to be heading into a little break. The runners kind of like shake their nerves off, get their hands a nice little stretch. We'll wait and see. And again, we'll take this opportunity to explain the format just a little bit. Now, this is a total of 3 races. This is not a best of 3. We're going to see 3 back-to-back races from both runners. Every victory is going to be a point, and the person that wins the set will be awarded an additional point. Okay, I just got confirmation from chat that Sykes' PB is actually a 29:50, and it was done before the patch. Okay, so he has time save. All right, that's very good to know. Thank you very much, chat, for pointing that out. You got times there. All right, looks like that they're gonna pop in and get ready for race number 2. Now, overall, both runners ran exceptionally well. There were a few mishaps on TGH's screen. We saw in Summit. There was a few directional input errors in Reflection and City. So I'm going to look to try to correct those things. Again, it's just, it could just be nerves. First run is always the roughest, in my opinion. So I think that now that everything is shaken off and ready, we're going to see even more, maybe even a sub 29. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you win all 3 games in a set, you actually gain an additional point.
That is true. So it is possible to get 4 points out of the league. Uh, the lowest is a 3, so you can either go earn 4 points, or earn 3 points. So even if like you like in this situation, say if Psych does not win this next race, he's still gonna want to push and try to get that third one, because I believe those single points are gonna make or break a lot of the league.
Yep. Which actually makes it a little bit more interesting than some of the old best of 3 ones that you might see in the past, because or even leads where you don't get anything for that third win. It's really just, oh, I went 2, but my opponent, that 1 point matters. Now you want that third point, because that's actually your 4th point. Here we are back in the starting chapter where, again, little hops, they save a little bit of time each time. And it's not insignificant, as anything in this run is. Nothing in this speedrun is insignificant. Also, a reminder that the only way to tie in this is also to just tie on the frame, just like any GSA race. These races are going to be timed down to the wire. There's no 1 or 2 seconds and you tie, especially with the in-game timer there. Just as an FYI, they technically no time passes during those cutscenes, but they are encouraged to keep moving through, even though these are timed within game. Also, as the event then down there, GSA is actually going to be running an event. You should check that out.
Yep. PACE is going to be going on in April, and that's where the grand finals of all of the leagues will be taking place. Speaking of which, since we were talking about ties, it is definitely possible. Actually, in a previous Super Mario Odyssey tournament, they actually had a tie to the frame. So
to the frame, yes. So it is possible, but it's very rare.
So if you are enjoying actually these Celeste runs and all that stuff, I highly recommend checking out the Super Mario Odyssey races as well. I have started to pull in and been watching some of the VODs. Very good technical play and a lot of fun. The commentators are fantastic. They paint a very great picture of how that game is supposed to be ran. Definitely check it out. And actually, I've been watching the 16-star runs for Super Mario 64 as well. So if you really want to get in on just some great high-level play, intense close races, just tune into Speedrun. Be sure to follow.
Extremely close in-game time-wise, actually. Sorry to cut you off, but that was extremely tight. Chapter 1. But we will be moving into Chapter 2 again. Very specific. 136. Yeah, it was just a second behind.
Yeah, actually, I think Psyched might be ahead slightly. So, it looks on screen right now that TGH is ahead, but we do want to pay attention to those IGT timers. Okay, that was redundant. In-game timers. Yeah, I'm going to try to get a clock in here real quick. We'll see what time Teach exits this screen. 2 minutes. All right, so it's about a half-second difference right now.
Yeah, again, it's based on in-game time, so if that way, your load times aren't gonna hurt your time in this game, which is obviously always a pain point. It actually causes a lot of PC communities to lose a lot of competitiveness that may exist otherwise, and actually is probably, I think, the main reason that modern consoles have actually been losing communities, because to compete at a PS4 game, you technically need to get a PS4 Pro and an SSD of the highest caliber, and like it can be a little straining on people who maybe just own their PS4 that they bought a few years ago, before these newer technologies were invented. So it's nice to have an in-game timer for these great speedruns.
Yeah, I do hope that this becomes part of the norm for any future games that have potential for speedruns. IGT has been just tremendous. I mean, especially this actually applies to people that run the game on console, because we have PC owners have live splits and auto splits and stuff like that. If you have it on console, or if you don't have a PC to run it, you can still submit times. Unfortunately, like right now, the patches are a little different. I believe the Switch is the one that is furthest along from the consoles.
That's true. It's with the physical release as well. They wanted to make sure it was on.
Actually, funny story too. Apparently, I found this out from watching another stream. It is not possible to demo dash on PS4. And
that's interesting.
I was like, no, I'm pretty sure you could. I went and tried it myself, because I have the game on PS4 as well, and No, I couldn't do it, and I've gotten very consistent with the tricks. So I was like, I don't think you can do it on this. So that makes the Switch the most optimal console version of the game to run on, because you can demo in that one. Unfortunately, there are some other hang-ups, like Seekers not activating switches in a much more difficult 5B section. So, but hopefully, from what I understand, once the DLC becomes available, all iterations of the game will be on the same version. Ooh, TJ not getting the distance he wanted there.
No, unfortunate death from Sight.
Oh, taking another one. This room that Psyched is in is a pain in the butt if you are on Death Cycle, because that last Dust Bunny likes to just kind of get in your way if you're doing the fastest strat possible. But he makes good work of getting out of there. Alright, now so we're going to see Teach handle this Labyrinth again. He handled this very well. I want you guys to pay attention to this movement. I am not cursing him in any way. We're about to see some phenomenal movement here.
And the Labyrinth is an area where you can't really die, but
yeah, it's just knowing the route, which way to go. Like, look at this. Oh my gosh. A little hang up there, but that's fine. Fantastic. Wow.
and this storm actually changes depending on which section you start in. Like, they'll take the same route because it's being mathed out which routes are faster based on where you exit. Oh, unfortunate little death there. So now it's on the death cycle. It's just going to be a little bit slower.
He turns around and picks up time there by opting for a faster strat. That's one of the things that I really like about TGH's play, is that TGH is known for being very, very consistent, but he has those fast strats in his pocket if he has any mishaps, and he's quickly able to like adjust and get back on pace from his time.
TGH, like, especially when some larger steps have been found, like when 5B was done, he didn't move to 5B for like until the hop was found. Because originally that wasn't found, but it was still faster to do 5B.
Yeah,
so
because you would do they had the spike jump that was possible.
Yes. So once that was removed, then the other one is removed, and that saves a lot of time. Like, TGH is notorious for staying on old strats for a longer period of time. At least when he's doing races and attempts, he'll wait until he feels consistent on a trick. So that is one of TGH's, like, you know, notable things, that he does try to stay as consistent as possible, which is notable because there are other runners who will adapt to a faster strategy sooner, and that could explain, a lot of the times where TGH will lose the record for a little bit and then get it back once he adapts to the new tricks.
Like, I feel like TGH is the king of consistency, and like we've seen it in countless races where just those staying true to what you know and just running very solidly has been paying off for him. That's why it like, if there's an instance where he's behind, all it takes is the other runner to just falter, because for the most part, especially in Reflection and in Summit, TGH's Summit, in my opinion, that is his absolute strongest chapter. Like, if you are behind on TGH in Summit,
Very good demo.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be negative Nancy or anything, but that's pretty much a wrap, because he knows that whole level like the back of his hand. And even then, I mean, like, for example, I'll go back to the TGH and Nero race. In the second race of that one, Nero was actually ahead by a couple seconds, and TGH was able to, again, pull out those, nice optimizations and a little bit of fast strats here and there, and was able to catch up and really put the pressure on Nero. And then ultimately, Nero taking a death on flag number 4 was what caused the end of it. And again, like I said, TGH is very consistent. At that point, like, that was a wrap. Even that very difficult strat from flag 3 to flag 2 with the feather and the diagonal dash, like, he makes it look so easy. So we got him going through Ishiro here. So far, very clean from what I can tell this last screen. TGH Psych getting ready to get set up there too. Wow, 4:30, nice time. Oh, Psych missing the bunny hop there. Again on the Death Cycle. I think he was on Death. Yeah, he was on Death Cycle last time too. So gonna have to slow down just a little bit to be mindful of Ishiro and these last 2 Dust Bunnies. Like, that point right there, he had to wait, but he is out. I think that's one of the big things too, particularly chapter 3. When you're put on the death cycle, I feel that there's an unseen sense of pressure where like you still have to go fast, and a lot of runners try to resort to those strats that they had, and you just can't. You have to adapt, and you have to basically respect the Dust Bunnies in Ashiro, because they will just be like, oh, I'm gonna stop you, and you're gonna start over.
Yeah, reminder that the timers are a little bit out of sync as well, so this is tracked with in-game time. I still think that regardless, there's not sit seconds. It's not sit seconds behind, but just keep that in mind that if GGH makes any major mistakes, that it may be a lot closer than it looks.
Yeah, and we'll get a time count here. Oh, missing the wall jump there. I don't like that wall jump.
I don't like any of these really tight wall jumps. I really wish I could play this game, but unfortunately, do not learn this speedrun if you have any form of repetitive stress injury syndromes or anything like that. This game is extremely difficult on the hands, so
yes,
unfortunately can't medically play games this quick, but love watching them and studying them.
Yeah, I remember I went for the 114% challenge, and yeah, I had to step away from the game for a couple days just because like my thumb in particular was like mild discomfort. It wasn't anything crazy, but just the amount of repetitiveness and just how intense it gets. Like, I didn't really think that from running the game I would feel so tense afterwards, but I think that's why I see a lot of runners, like when they finish, they kind of take a short break and kind of like walk around and ooh, nice strat from Psyched. Wow, yes, that was nice. So that was the optimal strat for that room. What he did was he did a reverse hyper from the previous room to get in there, and allowed him to skip that first green bubble and to save a nice chunk of time. And again, those are the strats where that's the optimal, but as we've seen, I believe Teach went for the more consistent strat, but I think he's in the process of like working on some of those. So, and again, it's like taking top route there, but TGH is already burning through cliff face. A few screens out before we go into Mirror Temple here. Psyched having a little bit of a problem here in this screen. Oh, he's missing either his wall bounce or a spike jump there. I'm not 100% sure. Oh no. It's going to result in the intended route there as TGH gets out of Golden Bridge. Yeah, you can see the frustration on Psyched screen right there with a couple of those dashes there. Just trying to get, it's a good thing to do. You're losing a little time by doing that, but you don't want to have that like in your head as you keep moving forward, because it's something that's just going to pull you away from what is going on in the game currently.
And another thing is, like, thankfully I assume that they can take like a small rest if they ask for one between races. I've just been watching these honestly in the background. I haven't been fully involved, but lately gotten way more into the GSA races. Oh, unfortunate!
Oh no!
Fall there was Psyched.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I were in Psyched shoes right now, once I would get finished with this chapter, I would try to just take a few seconds in between, get my bearings. Oh, yo, with the swag, let's go. Okay, look at that. Maybe he won't. Maybe that was like the confidence boost he needed. He's like, let me go for this swag real quick. Let me get my bearings. I like that. I see you, Psyched. I see you. Oh yeah, he's just gonna dive right in. And Teach already near the tape here for 5A. Ideally, an optimal time here is gonna be like 1:14, 1:15. I think Teach is on pace for that. Maybe even faster than that. Let's see. What is he gonna get here for his 5A? Looks like, yep, 1:14. Right on par. Alright, now it's like getting through the Mirror Temple as well. And again, this awesome music. I've said time and time again that 4B is probably the best song in the soundtrack, and I still do believe that. But at the same time, 5B's music has really grown on to me a lot. It's so good. Like, this entire soundtrack is amazing. And I think that's one of the main points why people keep coming back, because it's just so nice to listen to. Oh, Teach missing the bubs drop there. He's gonna have to start over from the checkpoint. It's gonna give Psych a little bit of time to catch up here. He's gonna have to play very clean. He's getting ready for his tape grab here. We'll see if Teach can get it on his second try. Nice. And again with that wall bounce too, that just makes the timing. I feel like with the wall bounce going into that transition, it just makes it a little tighter in my opinion. Like when I go for it, I generally just kind of like scoot my way up the wall until it happens, so I can be like prepared for it. But these runners, they're just like, nope, I'm just gonna go for it. Like make it a whole string of events. All right, so now we got Psyched heading into his portion of 5B. Teach getting ready to handle it through the mirror. Just got to get past this little guy right here. Activate these switches. Nice movement. Teach goes from the right to left. A lot of runners go left to right, so I'm not sure if that's just a personal preference thing or if he... Oh, you gonna save this? Hey, let's go. I'll take that. We take those. All right, now Psych is getting ready for bub drop. Oh, that Secret just missed that coin. That's okay. That explosion is going to take care of that. All right, let's see how Psych does here. Getting it first try, making it look super easy. Now, in this room in particular, there are actually two strats. Teach prefers to get that jump from the Seeker. What that does is it allows him to preserve his dash to better control the placement of the Seeker when it dashes forward. The other option that some runners do is they'll actually do a wall jump and then time the jump so that they bop on the Seeker so that they can get that boost to make their way over to that next section. But Teach in the gauntlet room right now. Throwing Theo. Oh no! Missed it. I think that might have been a missed input there. I believe what he wants to do is he's going to, yeah, throw Theo upwards and grab him just to get a little height to clear that Seeker. Now, I want to say Teach has mentioned that like he feels like it might be time to replace his controller. He's been kind of noticing, you know, input mishaps here and there. So it could be. We're not sure. I know that I think Moose actually in his first race had to change, or he had just changed the controllers as well. And you might think that that's not that big of a deal, but it really makes a difference if you're just used to a particular, like how your analog sticks are for the feathers, or just like the pressure of the buttons on your D-pad. So it does play a role, as goofy as it sounds. Wow, Sight just blaring through this section. Let's see how he's going to handle this. How to handle this gauntlet room here. And actually, wait a minute. Teach is in this room again. Did I time warp? What's going on here?
It must be like a weird death, or maybe he.
I don't know. I don't know.
Might have reset chapter. Not chapter, but he might
I don't
have.
know.
I actually
don't know.
Sorry, I just got back. So
yeah, I don't know what that was because the heart was claimed. I'm not exactly sure why TGH went to do 5B again. I was so caught up on Psych's screen. Chat, if you guys see that, please let me know because that's very strange. Unless I just like time warped. I don't know.
Either way, moving on to reflection, and honestly, Sight does not or
oh, he made a mistake and went back into went back into, oh no, some mismenuing here.
Yeah, menuing is a thing that you have to do. Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, chat is.
Oh yes, chat. We gotta wait for.
Well, I'm looking at chat right now. And it looks
chat is also confused. Good stuff.
I'm not 100% sure. That's definitely going to be something that I'll be asking after this set is over. It's very interesting.
Yeah, your brain usually looks away from a runner at the start of reflection, so I guess both of us kind of pre-programmed to look at the other to look at the other runner during like the 30 seconds after, just waiting for them to get to the actual section here with. So this is kind of in two parts. You're actually at the top of the mountain at the start of chapter 6, but you get sent to the bottom after Battle Line kind of throws you down. And you gotta start at the base, which is why the chapter 7 is throughout the mountain, because you're climbing back up.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, you missed Lake Skip again. But that's okay. I can give a brief explanation for it. So at the beginning, after that feather section, the intended route is you're going to hit a Kevin block and then you're going to make your way up. You can actually, with a very nice timing, you can perform a wall bounce off of a set of spikes and save about 4 seconds. Now, I discussed this with Flairbear in a previous race, and people, asking like, how do you do Lake Skip? And his response was, you basically just kind of have to feel it out and see what works for you. I 100% agree with that. Like, I think the best advice that I can give in trying to do Lake Skip is that you have to make sure you clear the spikes before you make that dash, because you will bash into them. So try not to dash too early. Some people prefer to go from the water, some people don't. Just go with whatever it works for you and just practice it. That's probably the best.
It looks like it had something to do with the heart not being collected. The hearts are actually notoriously like awkward to get. Like the old chapters world record runs have been lost to like a heart bouncing off of a heart and hitting a spike, or collecting a heart you thought you collected but actually you didn't and you went to the menu. So I mean, it's actually really notorious in old hearts where you'll make mistakes like that. Because they are strange little things. But we'll have to look at that later and see what happened there.
Because people were saying that maybe he didn't collect the heart, but when he went in the second time, when he got to the heart was clear. So I don't know. That, like, the one thing I can think of is a potential bug, which would be very scary.
Oh, Matt just wants to finish Devin this game and move on to something else. Poor Matt. We break his game all day and then he has to make a new map. We're into the battle line fight though for Teach. We're deep into it and starting it for Psyched.
Yeah, okay, so oh man, that is very scary. So I'm looking at chat and they're saying that the heart collected, but for some reason chapter 6 did not unlock. So that's gonna be a little nerve-wracking. Like, the only thing I can think of, okay, here's my theory. Like, maybe TGH on the frame because the heart is counted as collected when the text appears on screen, right? Maybe on the frame that the text appears, he returned a map. And because of that, chapter 6 did not unlock. Similar to how you're able to trigger the skip cutscene in prologue, frame perfect. So maybe that's what's happening. I'm not 100% sure, but hopefully it doesn't happen to any runners in the future. And yeah, this also could be a result of the patch that we were given. So I don't know. It remains a mystery. We're not gonna really know exactly what happened. I'm definitely gonna be looking back at that footage. But we got to keep moving forward here because Madeline and Battleline are throwing the fisticuffs down. And Battleline is just getting mollywopped left and right here from both runners. Teach on that final screen. Well, Psyched about halfway through the first portion. Getting that 5 cycle. We're going to see a nice ultra here. One more for good measure. And Teach is out. I definitely have to give it up to Teach. Like that, if that would have happened to me, I would have just been super tilted and like completely out of focus. So
no, that would have that's a very frustrating moment.
Yeah, just like I mean, like, what do you mean? I definitely collected this. Like, what are you talking about? So again, that mental fortitude, just keep moving. It happened. Got to keep going. Don't matter. So Teach is on summit yet again. Psych running into a little bit of problems here. I think he's trying to go for a nice ultra strat there, but it's very risky because that orb doesn't like to cooperate. He's got 2 screens to go before he makes his return to the mountain. In the meantime, Teach making his way through the first opening section here. And again, as you see, a lot of open spaces. No floors. That seems like the biggest trend. But with 2 dashes, it's definitely possible to, you know, keep yourself afloat, as we see there. And Teach is heading into the city portion. Psych finishing up battling here.
Yeah, it turns out the way to make platformers harder is to put less platforms in them.
Yep. Which actually, if you think about it, it's like, it's such a simple approach to increase difficulty that not a lot of developers probably even thought of doing. Oh, Teach getting ahead of himself there. Oh, he's trying to go for some.
Well, you can all, and then as chapters the siege sides show us, you just the way to make them harder and slightly less fun, but still fun if you like difficulty, or spites, otherwise known as the fan game approach.
Oh, yep. Although the seasides, I mean, a lot of people, like, you know, when seasides are mentioned, there's like a hush in the room, or like a shudder, or like a chill running down someone's spine when they think about it. From casual player and probably someone first approaching the seasides, yes, they're definitely harder. But I personally feel that the B sides are actually more difficult, just because of the fact that all the seaside screens are just 3 screens. So like, yeah, to learn those screens takes a little bit of time and effort, but like once you get them down, it's, you know, that's about it. There's less to learn, if that makes sense.
I mean, 3 screens, but the 3rd screen on 7C is, I feel, almost longer than like chapter 1. So
Listen, we won't talk about 7C in like the 5 hours that I spent on that single screen. Oh, Psych not getting the boost off that zipper. He's going to try again.
You actually do need that. That is actually required to beat this. This is where some of those like advance that needs to be used to beat the earlier chapters starts to become required to beat the game. It isn't until 8C where hypers are, where the bird is like, hey, you do this, and then you go, well, this game's a different video game now.
Oh yeah, I love that they did that. Little known fact about the hypers too, it was a not intended behavior. It was found during development, but Matt and the company actually really liked the byproduct of that, so they decided to keep it in and actually teach everybody how to do it. And again, by placing it at the very end of the game, when you're doing like, oh no, Psych didn't get enough height there, unfortunately. So to try that again, getting it that time. But yeah, adding that little tidbit there, just like, oh, by the way, did you know you can do this? Same with the wall bounces when you go to 7B. It's like, oh, by the way, you know you can do this. It really opens up, because when you go back and play again, you're just like, oh, I can hyper here and do this, or I can wall bounce on this section. And like, I think it's it's pure genius, and it's fantastic design in my opinion. Like, I think that's why, like, I'll gush about Celeste all day and every day, but I do feel like as we move further away, like, you know, down the road, years down the road, Celeste is going to further and further solidify itself as like one of the milestones for platforming, to the point of like being on the same par with, like, you know, old school Sonic and Mario and all those other iconic titles. Well, it looks like we have clips of that 5B as well. To check that out at some point. But back to the race here. So Teach heading into 2500. We got Psych about to finish at 1500 here. And, you know, we didn't really talk about 2500 too much in the previous race. One of the big things about 2500 is, like, this section is very fast. All these rooms have these dash blocks in them. You can see some nice strats here from Teach in this one room. Also door skip, but you know, we also have the thread the needle room, and that room is deceptively hard. It doesn't look like a lot, but for the optimal strats, it's very easy to just miss that mark and force a death upon yourself. We're still gonna see how TGH handles this as he gets ready. Oh, take that back. He's gonna give himself a little more breathing room as he heads into it. That little section right there, oh, it's so tough. And we got the door skip.
It's harder than it looks.
Actually, fun fact, I think that's part of the design. Matt and the gang had mentioned, I think in some interview, where the easier the screen looks, or the easier a screen is, excuse me, the more stuff is actually present. So like, for example, in that thread the needle room, you just have those two platforms and this is a very simple design, and the room is actually quite difficult. But then like you get to like this section here that Psyched is on, there's like a lot of spikes everywhere, but like it kind of funnels the player into a specific route, and once you kind of figure it out, it's not too difficult to bypass that. I think it's just like another, like, again, a nice design choice from Matt and the gang when designing the levels. Sorry, I am super gushing about the design of this game right now. I apologize, you guys. It's just, I was like, I'm just surprised by it, and it's fantastic. All right, Teach. Wow. Okay. I feel like Teach just jumped into downdraft like 10 seconds ago. He knocked that out of the park. Holy smokes. Okay, so oh no, I was like, that was a nice little corner boost here. Or a spike jump. No, that's corner boost, my bad. But missing that second one, having to do that room over again. Teach now in updraft. Alright, we're gonna get a key skip here from Sight. Making it look so easy. A little known fact about that room, you're doing basically 2 spike jumps back to back. What's nice about it is, if you get the first one, the second one is just like perfectly lined up. But if you have 2 jump buttons in your configuration, what you can do is hold down one of the jump buttons and then just, you know, attack that spike jump as you normally would. And what it'll do is it just automatically sets you up, easy peasy. I wish I had known that when I was doing full play for the speed gaming tournament, because I definitely spent a lot of time in that room trying to get that spike jump without knowing that. But Tej now heading into the home stretch here, getting to flag number 5 as Psych is about to get to flag number 30. Some beautiful dashes here. We're going to see that very crisp diagonal dash from flag 3. This strat blew me away when I seen it the first time. I was like, how are you just threading the needle like that? Look, but it looks so good. Alright, so now Teach in the home stretch here, still making fantastic time. Oh my gosh, I feel that I might be wrong here, but maybe TGH was on PB pace, if not for that mishap in 5B.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
That's really impressive. 29:51, folks, with doing 5B twice. And like, I need to think about it, because I know there's through the mirror. Oh no, I'm pretty sure it's rescue. That's probably the last section where you pick up Theo. So I feel like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe some other people know how fast that section is. But wow. But TJ's gonna take that home. And Psych now coming along as well. Heading through flag number 14, 13. I always get these two mixed up, but this one is very tricky, just because like it's one of those sections where once you go, you don't have a time to breathe. You have to just go and knock it out.
Yeah, even if none of us understand what just happened. TGH does. He said he'll explain in the interview, but the long and short of it is The long and short of it is that in his words, I am using his words here, I am dumber than dirt. LMFAO, which is a very Teach statement if you've ever been in Teach's stream. But yeah,
I can confirm
he knows what
this is-
happens. But
this is an exact quote.
yeah, he does know what happens. He'll explain in the interview, so we'll know after game 3.
But yeah, still that is a remarkable time. Holy smoke. Alright, Psych getting through in the home stretch here. Making his way. Now, he had a little bit of fumbling here in flag 1. Okay, maybe I should stop. Yeah, okay. So he is going for that fast strat there, hypering when he lands on that. That's very tight, but it does save some time. All right, Psych is going to clock in at 31:42.
Okay, so chapter 6 was unlocked. TGH thought he exited early and re-entered the chapter faster than he realized. So.
All right, so it was 45 seconds. So that would have been another low 29. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to take a short break here. Not too long. You know, we're not going to go to intermission or anything like that. It's just going to be a short break to get people gathering their bearings, so to speak. Mine's included, because man, that was a wild one, folks, and we got one more to go. I will double check to see if we've got any other races today. Give me 1 second. Both runners are opting to take a break here. So let me just look real fast. Oh, okay. So coming up after this race, in fact, hold on, let me do this because I'm looking at this in the other monitor and talking away from my mic. Let me move this real quick. So after this race between TGH and Psyched, we are going to have a Super Mario 64 16-star race against CLG Cheese versus Mr. Jimmy Steel 25. And that is commentated by the dynamic duo Petey and Simply. I hope it's Petey. If it's not, I apologize severely. My bad. And then right after that, folks, we are going to have a 70-star league match against I'm probably going to butcher this one too. I'm so sorry. Punkishan versus Vero. So don't go anywhere after this race because we got some fantastic play coming up to close out the night. And then again, all week long, folks, I'm looking at the schedule right now and it is looking stacked. So again, if you enjoy competitive speed running on the highest caliber among some of the greatest speed games that we have to offer, be sure to give Speedrun a follow, because there's a lot more lined up. In fact, I might have to turn around and try to get on some of these Celeste races real quick and start getting myself signed up for these commentary antics. And then also, I guess, take time to showcase a little bit fun facts and stats from the league as we close out the first week of the race for Celeste. I believe I mentioned it earlier, but Moose is the only runner. No, I take that back. Psych has also done this checkpoint list, so I retract my statement. But both Psych and Moose have done Demo Dash without the checkpoint. Moose did it for all 3 of his races, and I believe Psych is also on a 100%. He's batting 1,000 right now too. So I am not cursing you in any sort of way, because in my opinion, Demo Dash, it's not as it's definitely a trick, and it's definitely a little tough to set up, but I believe it's not that difficult, at least for me. And obviously Moose and Psych agree with that too. In fact, I am tempted to also go checkpoint list, just to go for it. But it looks like we are going to get ready here for our final race of the evening. Again, TJH has already got the bonus point for winning the set, but Psych can still take one away from him. We'll see how that goes as we head into the final race here. All right, so we are in prologue. And again, it's the same old every time. I mean, ideally, we're not looking for a death. We don't want that to happen, which can happen. We got this gap here. Also, the opportunity of opening the menu and hitting retry. Both runners do not do that. Nicely done. Especially because it's not really a telltale point on when that's supposed to happen. So as we move back into city. Now, both runners, for the most part, have been somewhat solid cities. There's been a few bonks here and there, but we'll see. 3rd time's the charm, right? I mean, immediately, TGH is right back in the zone. Psyched as well. And you see, it's pretty much the optimization is here for the most part. There's some tricks, like for example, there's some spike jumps and some corner boosts that you can do in a few screens, but they're for consistency's sake, a lot of runners opt to not go for that. Usually those are just reserved for IL strats, not any percent. And so we saw Psych having a little bit of bump here. We're gonna see if he's gonna get this ultra set up. No, he missed the corner boost there, unfortunately, and that can happen.
But... yeah, we didn't really mention that. So each for those of you who don't know, there was a question in chat. What's up with the file names? It's essentially just an anti-cheat bin. There's very long file names and lots of possible characters. So the easiest way in this game to make sure that everyone's on the level, and not that we suspect anyone, but it's more there for posterity. Posterity? I don't remember the word. And they actually, due to that reset from TGH, they are essentially tied 138 to, I didn't catch TGH's start time there. But unfortunately that early thing there.
Actually, it looks like Psyched might be ahead by about half a second.
Yeah, each GSA competition has a small little what's it called? Like a small little thing, and then it's different for every game. Just a little thin to deter it.
All right, now we mentioned about hypering out of dream blocks in the summit. we do not hyper out of, well, we do it in a few places, not a whole lot, but the main reasons why we don't hyper out of these is because we don't have that extra dash. So for the most part, if you try to hyper out of a few of these, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Because there's just, you have no dash.
Oh.
Speaking of death, TJ is taking a death there, and Psych is going to extend his lead here ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Oh, missing the note there too. Oh my gosh. Able to recover quickly here, but it's about a screen and a half apart.
Yeah, this is yeah, somebody in chat confirming that they were both on 138, and now they are both on the screen. Are you sure we aren't having the same screen at the same time? No, I'm just kidding.
Psych took a death, but I do not know how TGH did not die.
Oh no, unfortunately.
In that one screen. Oh no.
That is probably the longest death in chapter 2. It's not the longest screen, but it is the longest screen you can die on.
Wow, this old site has this old site is adding a little more drama than I wanted today. Let me tell you guys. All right, getting through awake. A site is about to enter his awake portion here. Oh, getting caught up on the spring there. Unfortunately, that's okay. Able to dash immediately after to get his ground back. Still a 156. That's faster than my times. So. All right, now we're moving on to resort here. I see now this has been a trend that I've noticed from watching NCOMs hitting the races. By the time that we get to race 3, the runs get quote unquote loose. We're seeing, like, I've noticed that there's a lot more mishaps. There's a lot more spaghetti being thrown everywhere, this, that, and the other. I think that just goes to show just how mentally and quote unquote physically draining these runs go. I mean, overall in the game for Celeste, you have, I think there's over 700 screens, and
yes, sounds about right.
That's a lot of screens to remember, movement strats, how to, and then in some cases, death cycles like here, so you're doubling a portion of that, so maybe even 800 screens and routes and movements to remember, and like to do that in succession, like, it is, like I said, it is draining. I mean, you see runners continuously like tackling the game head on, and you start to see that, like, just that mental fatigue kicking in. So,
and it is a different beast to race as well, so that's not something to scoff at.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even bringing that into the fact that, like, you're trying to beat somebody else's time and having that extra pressure. So it's the fact that the runners are able to still maintain a strong caliber and just keep that mental strength going is very impressive, because I don't know if I could do it. I don't think I could do it. It's really tough. Like, there's times where I'll just do like 2 runs and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take a couple minute break here and just kind of collect my thoughts. So for them to get back in the saddle almost instantly is very impressive. Especially for the type of speed game that Celeste is. Alright, so now both runners in huge mess. Teach on the second portion here. Just gonna do some wall bounces here to get an early cycle here, and I like this trick too. You're gonna fast fall and then wall bounce to get that crystal. Looks so clean. He's gonna come in at like a 213 there. That's a very good time.
We're seeing TGH into part 3 here. This is a little cutscene at the start of it with Theo, where we first meet him. This may be the second time, but
at least first time in an any percent run.
Yeah.
I've completely forgot that, like, Theo is hidden around in the first 2 chapters.
Oh wait, what?
Yeah, actually,
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, actually, you depending on how high you go in the second screen of Awake, you can see Theo above, above the roof.
Well then, okay, I'm trying to replay the game again, I guess. Actually, no.
Yeah, I completely forgot until someone pointed out. Like, I think it was someone was playing like bingo, and they're like, talk to Theo in chapter 1, and I'm like, he's in chapter 1 where? Because actually, I don't think in any run you run it, you are required to go to that screen, like not for ARB and not for 100%, because he's just off in the corner. Like if you're just doing a little bit of exploring, all of a sudden you just find this Seattle
very
light
good
just
demo
chilling.
dash again from TGH. Doing it with the checkpoint, just being extra careful. Doesn't have to, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I have seen runners get that demo and then die in that next screen. Which, depending on how far you go, just kind of negates the save that you get. Psyched again, checkpointless with the demo and the corner boost. Oh, and oh my gosh, that presence of mind. Knowing that he was not going to be able to make that jump, went back and retraced his steps there. Solid play from Psyched as he gets ready for the third round of Oshiro. Now, Oshiro's been giving Psyched a little bit of a trouble, so I'm going to see if he's going to keep his bearings as he heads towards that final screen. Teach actually missing and landing a little short here. Gonna have to improvise just a little bit. Getting back to his usual, and he is out at another 430. It looks like. Let me see. I'm sorry, 420. My bad. The numbers are a little small on my screen, so I apologize.
Come on, BTTV users, don't fail me now.
Alright, Psyched. So far, so good. One more jump to go. Nice. Okay, Psyched actually getting a 430. But still, that was a very clean Ishiro section, and especially that last screen. Whoa, okay, hold on. Get the speed gun radar out, Madeline. You're not supposed to be going that fast in that section. What the heck? I need to watch that, because Teach did like the same strat before, but for some reason he definitely looked like he was going a little bit faster when he hit that section in this third race.
Momentum is a little interesting when you start applying it to a game where momentum isn't capped, which it isn't. In theory, if you had a straight plane that you could just do perfect boosts on, I think you can just keep going faster and faster. Would like to see almost like I'd be curious to see a task level like that.
I would love to see like the guys that make the guys and gals that make the custom levels to just make a level where it's possible to like very easily just set it up to go crazy and then have the task just like go. Because I mean we have the awake section, but I want to see the further limits of it. Alright, so Teach now. I saw him take a death, but it looked like it might have been early on.
Very good recovery there from Psyched. Doing a spike jump to not die, to just recover in that. So as we said before, if you're not moving into like an actual spike, then there's little frames that you can jump. Unfortunate.
Psych bonking his head right there. Having to do this room over again. This reiterates the big thing about Ridge. A lot of these like tricks and stuff, most of the time saves happen at the end. Oh, he's going for it again. Oh, gets it. That is, man. I'm at the hit the lab for that. 'Cause I want that in my run. But a lot of the tricks and stuff happen at the end of each of these rooms in Ridge, so a mistake can easily set you back like 6-7 seconds, depending on the room. Especially the auto scroll rooms. I'm like here, you're forced to sit for a good like 4 seconds, and I have missed that dash, so it is frustrating. It's frustrating when things go south. Psych had some trouble in this room last time.
No problem.
Not a factor this time. Nicely done. And again, that is that mental game again, like just not psyching yourself out. No pun intended, by the way. Not getting the best of yourself and thinking about like, oh, I messed this up in the previous race. Please don't let it mess up now. So good mental fortitude from Psych as he's getting through his cliff face. I like that strat too. I like that he just goes head first into that snowball, not even caring.
We're going into the 5A portion of Chapter 5 that we'll be doing. And for those of you still just tuning in, we will be doing 5B once we get the heart. So the tape recorder, it's just a little faster due to some tricks found in 5B to go straight, take this key. Oh, unfortunate death on the forward wind.
That was a misdirection there. Dashed up forward instead of straight up. That is really bad. You hate to see that.
Oh, and there's the
no yeet again.
Still looks good. Still looks good. That is like a
Still,
frame
yeah.
perfect. Yeah, it's like frame pixel perfect, I think. To get the full dash through to the third screen there.
I wish I could tell you, but I am yeetless in Seattle. I have not gotten that trick yet, so I can't tell you. Oh no.
Oh, that's in the recorder room.
Oh wow. Oh, I thought he was gonna save that. Oh no, Teach on different cycles. And that first part is very tricky because you basically need to dash as the blue blocks appear so that you can get through. Wow, that was a pretty rough one. He's gonna come out of this at 131. Yeah. Also, I take that back. I thought that Teach was pressing down on that menu. They added a new thing in the patch. Oh, Psych missing his yeet as well. In the patch, they made it so you can like warp, quote unquote, wrap, excuse me, by pressing up to get to the bottom. Because before you'd have to tap down like 4 or 5 times to get to return to map. So now they made it so it's an easy just tap once and boom. So save maybe a half a second ish, but still it's nice to have.
Also less possible errors, so.
Yeah. All right, Teach getting ready for Bub's drop.
Gets it.
He's in it to win it. Oh, Psych losing his momentum there. Having to wait on the cycles again. This room is so tough if you're off cycle. And I know, you know, we heavily talk about cycles in Chapter 3, but 5B and the tape room are also cycle based as well.
Yes. The tape rooms are actually on a cycle with the music.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, is that every time you dash, I think it's like 3 frames are taken off of the time. The game pauses for 3 frames. It's an interesting thing. No, that's actually used in all chapters to make the cycle work and save time in game time. It's just faster to do. It's a very strange thing.
Yeah. Actually, fun fact, if you are in those tape rooms and you pause the game, the music actually is also paused. Usually it'll kind of just sit and kind of play in the background. Also, nice Bubs drop from Psych there. But in those tape rooms, it actually stops as well because the blocks are set to, I wanted to say syncopate, but I don't think that's the right term, but I just wanted to say that word. But it's set to, you know, the rhythm of the music. So, but yeah, for both of those screens in Chapter 5, if you die with the 1.5 respawn time, it doesn't really put you on cycle, so you're forced to wait. And a lot of runners, especially new ones, they'll try to just be like, no, I can go, because you know you feel that pressure where like I have to hurry. But it's best to just wait. It's way better to wait instead of trying to muscle your way through it, because usually you're just gonna die. Speaking of death, we had another one on Teach's screen there. That Seeker, that was kind of strange because the Seeker is usually very cooperative with that setup, so I'm not sure what happened there. Nice Ultra there. Hard to see because he had such little room. Oh! Theo not being cooperative as usual. Oh no, Teach's having a little hang up here.
Yeah, these are mistakes where yet it's just this room is really actually hard, like the run that Psych is in, trying to use those seekers as like platforms essentially. And he is starting his Theo section. Meanwhile, in the tape recorder Theo room, I'll leave Theo behind.
Yeah, a little bit of hangups there. Teach is gonna clock in at a 2:57. That's still a pretty good time, but definitely a little off pace from what he's used to. Whoa, that Seeker came out of nowhere and was like, "You are not getting an Ultra today, Madeline." these Seekers are just having their ways with both runners today. My goodness.
Now, reminder that there is no RNG. These Seekers are actually based on your movement, so they are going to move the same way every time. It's just a matter of if you move the same every time.
Oh, actually, Psych going for a little faster strat there, I think. Not waiting for Theo to hit that spring.
It is also very possible. Some people throw Theo at the wall there, and I have seen it where they throw him a little too high. He actually gets enough distance to bounce back into the pit. If Theo falls in that pit, you die. Like Madeline also dies, so you have to be very careful.
And actually, Psych had I think it was a 242, so he was leaving Chapter 5 a little bit faster than TGH, but I think some hangups in 5A kind of still leaving him a little bit behind here. Alright, so we are back in good old Reflection. And again, like I said, I feel like Reflection is very optimized. Like, you're gonna see a lot of the same strats. I feel like Reflection and definitely 5B. We've had this discussion before, I think, with Flarebear. 5B is ridiculously optimized for the short amount of time that the level's been introduced for any percent. But I feel like Reflection is also one of those chapters. So you guys pretty much see the same kind of approaches. There's a few different strats from each runner, but again, you just want this to be as clean as possible. So Tej go on that top route as Psyched is beginning his hollow portion. Now you don't really see it, but in the casual playthrough you might have. The hollows is basically it's kind of like a maze. You have two routes that you can take. You can go top route or you can go bottom route, depending. The optimal route is, I believe now it's all, nope, except for this screen right here, it's all top route. That screen with the bricks that break, you want to take the bottom route there. But sorry, I cut myself off. I was feeling a yawn coming on. I didn't want to like pass that on to everybody watching. But yeah, ideally, I mean, this is like the big difference. It used to be the bottom room for that one, and a lot of runners still go for that, but the top route is definitely faster. As TDS is getting ready for the battle and boost here. Zoom in, let's go. Get those hey ya's in chat if you got them. And again, the battle and fight is just, I don't know, it's great to watch. Like, both from a casual and a speedrunner playthrough, this is like where everything just comes to a head. Like, story-wise, it's just like, you know, Madeline's had enough of Madeline's nonsense, and is just like, you know what? I'm gonna climb this mountain, and you're gonna come with me whether you like it or not. And then Madeline's like, oh no, you ain't. You're not gonna climb this mountain. You ain't no mountain climber. I'm gonna show you with my laser beams and my orbs. But, you know, obviously we know how that handles. Oh no, Psych taking a death there. This water section can be tough, especially that little S curve, like the little S section right there. It's tempted to, like, as you saw, Psych kind of just hyper. Oh my, whoa, what was that? Whoa, wait a minute.
Was jumping there a little too. It was having a little bit too much fun.
Yeah,
I think he thought he was one level ahead based on what he did when he got to the open area and jumped in front of the block. So I think just a little ahead of himself.
Trying to swag out there, but got a little too preemptive. And now both runners in their battling portions here. Alright, Tej missed this ultra last time. Gets it that time. Oh my god, that is such a cool trick. Anytime that an ultra happens on screen, it's just satisfying and just great to see, because Madeline be zooming. And again, it's just like that fast movement. It's just like the rush behind it. I think that's why the battle and fight is a lot of fun, because it's just like non-stop. It's almost like cliff face, except you're not dealing with the wind, but like from a using your dash, I feel like you're just constantly on the move. And surprisingly enough, the faster you move through this, the safer it is, because you deal with less lasers. And for the most part, with the, you know, like I said, with how optimized this is, we generally don't have to, like, the lasers are not a threat. It's only when you like make a mistake, or if you make a mishap, is where it's like, okay, now I have to actually think about this. But for the most part, I mean, like right there, like that looks super dangerous, but like Teej is like, nah, it's fine, it's fine. I'm gonna ultra right through that. It's gonna be cool. And he is out. Looks like he's gonna probably come in at like a 21, a low 21, as Psych is getting ready for round 2 here. Alright, Teej leaving Reflection at 2106. And we got Psych coming into the home stretch here, as Teej begins his ascent back up the mountain. Seeing the nice remnants of... Oh no! Psych just head on to that laser. Oh my goodness.
Whoa, okay, that was really fast from the sight screen.
Yeah, nice fast right there. Again, like I said, that laser, it looks like it's gonna snipe Madeline. She's like, nah, I got this, don't worry about it. Oh, bonking his head there, but quickly adapting. So this is a very nice time. Oh, bonking again. So it's about a 50-second difference between both runners here. Leaving Reflection. So again, it's going to take a lot for Psych to get back on track here, and for, like, you know, TGH is going to have a few mistakes here. But again, that, you know, like I said, game 3, the runners, the trend that I've seen in the league is that the runners tend to get a little loose. And so I still think it's still up for grabs. Anything can happen. We have a lot of screens to cover, and we have a lot of areas to go through, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, this is like probably closer to 8-9 minute chapter compared to the average chapter length in the other parts of like 3-4 minute.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like 2 or 3 times longer than every other chapter. Oh, TGH actually missing that one there, and recovers it though with a backup strat.
Oh snap, Cheese! Thank you so much with the raid. Yes. Coming in with a party at 482. Appreciate that, Cheese. Thank you so much. You guys are just in time for the thrilling in here.
Thank you very much. And she's obviously being one of the organizers for GSA. Make sure that you're following this channel, by the way, so that you can get more of these races. The schedule is is down below.
Yeah, actually, after this race, Cheese is actually going to be stepping up for a 16-star for Super Mario 64. So, best of luck to you in your race there. But we got bigger fish to fry here, as Teej is murdering these deaths. Oh, missing the dash. What?
And now on the death cycle, which is a little weirder, you have to dash up and then to the right rather than a diagonal dash.
It looked like he didn't get his up forward dash there to get through, and just like slammed into the wall, and then it was like, what, you know, tried to recover, but that's when he was like, I got plans for you. Triple Ultra Room. Again, poetry in motion, folks. Oh my gosh, if I could write a haiku about it, I would, but I'm not going to. And now Psych also getting into the Dream Block portion. Oh, man, I get hype anytime that anybody's in this room because it's so much fun. Like, look at that.
Whoa, okay, TGH. Just playing a little bit with fire there.
I'll have to check that out. I was busy watching these beautiful hypers out of these Dream Blocks. Look at that. Oh,
now into
so cool.
1,000.
And Psych ready to take on the Dust Bunnies one last time. Again, nice ultra section in this room. Oh, makes it look so easy. That is a room where a lot of hangups can happen if you just do a miss input, because those snowballs are just like, we're here to torment you. Also, side note, Teach has a berry on hand. We're gonna see. Nope, spoke too soon. Gonna see if Teach is gonna take that berry all the way to the next section, but that berry is like, I want to go and get collected, so I'm out. Psych. Oh no, on the death cycle here for this room. He's got a strat for it, but has to wait for the cycle to reset. Getting out scot-free there. Alright, now Teach in the battle line alley-oop section here. We're gonna see another demo. Nice. Oh, that one is so good too. That demo is actually really nice because it's very low risk if you make a mistake. If you miss the demo, you can still grab onto the side of that block and then continue as intended. So you have the opportunity to save time, but not really have an opportunity to lose time unless your PB involves that trick. And speaking of berries, Psych got one now. Let's see how long you gonna have this buddy with you. Oh, not that long. That snowball was like, I'm fiending for some strawberries.
We're moving through the little auto scroller. We're gonna skip most of it. So there's the theme of this chapter section area, that the spiky part, Golden Ridge, is actually auto scrolling. But we were able to skip quite a bit of it and get through it a little faster. And moving on. Oh, unfortunate death for TGH there. So we're moving on through. This section's really cool because it's the section that utilizes the little jump you get with battle line the most. And moving on to 3000, we are finally on the surface. Kind of the story of summits when you're against TGH is, you know, if you enter a full like 500 meters behind, you're probably staying that far behind. Unfortunately, TGH is very solid at chapter 7. So here we go. Here's a little bit of a T-step here. You go up, do a jump. Oh, and unfortunately didn't get it. Go up, do 2 cornered boosts, grab the key, and whenever you have the key, you can force death. The points work by so it's 3 races, you get 1 point for each win. If you win all 3 races, you get a bonus point in the lead. So that's how some people have 4 wins. So that's a good way to get ahead. So that, you know, when you do face those tougher opponents, you know, those opponents that you might be a little scared of, you know, you got that extra point. And it's gonna save your lead rank in just a little bit. Oh, sorry, you get a point for winning the best of. Okay, I assumed that it was a bonus point for 4th wins. That's my bad. But here we are, which I like. I very much like the GSA structure. But either way, we are going through this climb section, which is very interesting. And Stippin. Oh no! GG. Didn't skip the checkpoint. Okay. I thought he did. I didn't see it collect, so I got very confused there. This is actually my least favorite screen. Oh no, this isn't that screen. Never mind.
Alright, Teach in the home stretch here. Oh no! Psych taking a death on flag 17 there. Alright, on flag 1 here. Looking to clock in at a sub 30.
Oh, yes, he did sub 30. I was gonna say there's a chance he didn't, but no, we're good.
Clocking in at a 29.44. Nicely done. Psych now on his updraft portion again. That flag 13. This thing right here makes it look so easy, but it's really tough. Like that all or nothing kind of strat that you have to do. Moving on to flag 10. Making excellent work here. Now flag 9 is a little tricky. Particularly like if you did that right there, that angle jump, it's very possible to slam into those spikes above you. And also, you notice we skipped flag 8. Ideally, you'd want to go and get that and then treat that next section as a standalone, but we kind of combine it all together as one shot. Oh, bonking his head, but able to use that extra dash to get that wall jump and ascend into the final portion here, hitting flag 4.
Congratulations, TGH.
Thanks. Yo, what's going on, guys?
Yeah,
How much?
congratulations
Very
to
good
you.
races.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for commentating.
Thank you for racing. As always, a
Yeah.
pleasure to watch.
Thank you for providing, you and Psych for both providing fantastic opportunities for us to liven the race. So
Oh, yeah,
Psych is
yeah.
actually just about to finish up here.
And what an interesting 5B.
The second race. Okay, so
Yeah.
assuming like the general audience has no idea what happened, aside for me being really stupid. Okay, so here's what happened. The end of 5B, of course, I failed Bub's drop. And when you start at a checkpoint, the timer at the top left is grayed all the way through. Ordinarily, if you finish the level without like starting at a checkpoint, like starting at the beginning, the timer turns green when you get the heart. And I exited out, the timer like returned to map after getting the heart, and noticed that the timer was gray and thought that meant I didn't get the heart. So I like panicked and immediately like re-entered 5B to try to go get the heart again. And it was of course,
It's okay.
I had the heart and I didn't realize it until I got back to the heart and realized it was a pale color, which meant I had collected already.
Okay, we have very short time until the next race, but yeah, no, sorry, just wanted to.
Yeah, but anyway, GG just liked. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for the races.
Hi, I'm yeah on now as well. GG's and congrats to the win.
Thank
Now,
you.
Psych, how did you feel overall with your performance today?
My first run was pretty decent, but now it's getting pretty late in Germany. We currently have 2 a.m. and
Oh,
you could
wow.
probably tell in the last 2 races that I was a little sleepy. I did a lot of stupid mistakes that I shouldn't have done, and yeah, lost about a minute compared to the first run in my next 2 races.
Yeah,
But
they were still very close, so thank you very much for the great runs.
And then I believe, Psych, you're going against Black Pair next week. Is that correct?
yes, that's correct.
And then
On
for
Sunday,
TGH?
actually.
Okay, and TGH, do you know who your next opponent will be?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I haven't looked at the schedule too closely, but
All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, thanks to both runners here for putting on a fantastic race. And we are going to cut away to intermission, and then we'll be right back with a Super Mario 64 16-star run. It's going to be very hype. Be sure to stick around, folks.
Thank you very much, everyone.